I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, July the 23rd, brought to you in part by the National Beef Wire. Today we're spotlighting MS Biotech channel, which is 1038. You can check that out on nationalbeefwire.com. Back in the friendly confines here in the Texas Panhandle, in my home in Canyon, Texas, my home office here, after a long trip, started over 2 weeks ago and went up to Calgary, Alberta, to the Calgary Stampede and competed in the International Livestock Auctioneer Championship. Was hoping to make the top 10. Ended up with a three-way tie for 12th, 13th, and 14th. But tell you what, the two guys that I tied with, one of them I believe is one of the best auctioneers in the Midwest, Kyle Lehman, a friend of mine, and he is scary good. And the other one that I had the same score as is Ab Carroll, and he was the Canadian Livestock Auctioneer Champion last year. So pretty good company, so I'm not going to complain a bit, and I had a great time. Flew back to the States, had two speaking engagements, one with Red Angus Summit there in Kansas City, and then traveled down to Greensboro, Alabama, to the Stalker Cattle Short Course there, and I had a good crowd there, and a lot of good people, and made a lot of stops and sale barns and friends and places along the way. But it's sure glad to be home, just like Dorothy said. But my dad also used to say one good thing about being from Clayton, New Mexico is everywhere else you go, you really like it. So I always remembered that one too. But let's look at what's going on in your markets this week. We really had neutral news at the end of last week. So we started out this week supportive on neutral news, which never happened. So that was great. Your board was up good, especially feeder cattle, up well over $2 on most of your nearby months there. And that was great. We had a neutral cattle on feed report, a slightly bullish cattle inventory report. And that was because they did say that the 2019 calf crop is slightly lighter than the 2018 crop. So we were all kind of figuring that, but we didn't quite think that they were going to say that in this inventory report. We know we're headed for lighter numbers. I tell you guys, down the road here, I think this is going to ramp up a lot quicker because we've just slaughtered so many beef cows and so many heifers this year, all of last year, that I think it's going to progressively become apparent that we're a lot lighter on our keeping heifers and things like that. We've got a lot of heifers on feed right now, and that showed on the cattle on feed report. But I tell you what, your breeding stock is going to be a premium, I would say, within the next 6 months or so. If you've got some young cows, you're setting good. And you might, if you're able, I know we had a rough time of it in a lot of places last winter and early this spring, but if you have the ability, you may want to get in on the front end of keeping some heifers back. But let's look at the board for Monday. August live cattle futures up 85 cents at 108.45. October up 65 cents at 109.15. Your feeder cattle where it was really up. Feeder cattle for August up $2.20, 142.17. September up 262 at 142.42. The weighted average on last week's fat cattle trade in your 5-area feeding region on negotiated sales, 77,600 head. That compared to 87,000 head the previous week and 128,300 the same week a year ago. Your live sales, steers and heifers in your 5-area feeding region ranged mostly from 111 to 116 and a quarter. Mostly 111 to 113. That there was some 14 in Nebraska, but most of that above 13 was reserved just for your Iowa farmer feeders there, because your packers are really searching for that high choice and prime product right now that all of a sudden has evaporated, and they've gotten so used to it the last year and a half or so. But they're really reaching out for it in those Iowa farmer feeder lots where they can get some of those, and like I said, it launched. But your Southern Plains market was entirely 111. but still you come out with a pretty decent weighted average of 113.02. And even though your market was pretty much $1 lower everywhere, your weighted average was only 35 cents lower than the previous week. Your dressed steers and heifers sold from 182 to 185 for the most part. Dressed steers averaged 183 even, and that was down only 13 cents from the previous week. So, you know, you can't complain about that too much, even though it was a lower market. And we had big hopes early last week of maybe gaining a buck or two, or at least holding the market steady. But with the heat and everything that come through, the big basis, guys just jumped on that, and we weren't able to hold that market. Maybe we'll be able to hold it this week. Your nationwide movement negotiated was 95,600 head. Only 12% of those for the 15 to 30 day delivery. So that's for the last month's trades or so. They haven't been getting a lot of those 15 to 30 day deliveries, which is going to keep those packers on the edge of their seat and hungry for cattle to fill their immediate needs. Your contracts, though, if you look at those August contracts, are setting at 226,000 head plus. That compares to last year's August contracts of 143,000. September is even larger, 241,000 this September. That's head counts compared to last year, which was 186,000. So that's a way that they've got some captive supplies tied up now. Look at some other markets around. Your northern livestock video, which is major up in Wyoming, Montana, and you know, held by the Pays and BLS. It always is held there at BLS, but included with the Goggins family and everybody that has to do with your Billings livestock markets. They started their summer classic on Monday, and it'll go through this week. And then there'll be a lot of cattle. I tell you what, the majority of your Montana strings will be sold on this northern livestock video. You know, I didn't see any individual sales that they weren't available yet, but did see the bulk of the trade there. And it looks like they've kind of established your fall delivery calves, steer calves with a base weight right around 600 pounds, which a lot of those, that covers a lot of them. Those will be unweaned right off the cow, but the best quality you can absolutely imagine. But your fall delivery calves based around 600 pounds, mostly selling from 155 to 165. But they'll have some yearlings. They've got a lot of sheep on that sale too. But your northern livestock's a big video going this week. Upcoming sales in the sale barns this week. Bassett, Nebraska's got a big special on Wednesday. That will be all we'll talk about for Thursday's visit. For the most part, they got like 5,500 head. Calves and yearlings. Will be interesting to see that. It's not too early to start talking about the King of the Ring special. It's going to be held in Dodge City a week from Saturday. Another one of those auctioneer contests, which are fun for me to watch because I'm kind of a connoisseur, but I love the auctioneer contest. But it kind of displays the industry. It puts your auction marketing in a positive light, and it's fun for everybody. A lot of people like to come and gather and watch it, and it always brings about a hot sale. So you can't blame the winners for putting that on, and it's going to be quite a deal. That King of the Ring deal is we're just the very, very best. Your champions, your reserve champions, and I think this year included the top 10 were eligible to sign up if they want. Some of your past champions think once they've won the world, they don't really need to do that anymore, and that's fine too. But whenever you've got the winners putting up sponsored money of $25,000 to the winner, that'll bring some guys out of their rocking chair and take them to Dodge City to sell those cattle there, and they've got a pile of green grass yearlings piled up for that, and that'll be kind of the last of these midsummer grass yearlings coming, because we won't see another big slug of green yearlings coming till we get into fall. But those will be big sales. They've got a big sale the Thursday before in Pratt. They've got a video sale on Friday, but that's going to be big doings. I'm going to try to go to that if I possibly can. They got the big rodeo going on. What else could you want? But let's look at your feeder cattle markets on Monday. Your real-time index late Monday sitting at 138.55, down 34 cents. Look at some big sales. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma National Stockyards, 5,700 head. The heat has kind of subsided. It was terrible hot last part of last week, and then it kind of subsided there maybe on Sunday. Actually up in the Midwest, and talked to some of my friends up there in northern Missouri, southern Iowa, when that heat left, it brought about 5 inches of rain, and they absolutely needed it. You know, those floods only last so long, and then they were getting dry, and they really needed the rain, and they said it was real timely for them. It's cooled off pretty much everywhere. Coming back here to the Texas Panhandle, though, haven't been any rain for the last 2 weeks anyway since I left, and I don't think we'd had any for a week or so before. And it was green when I left, and now it's all burned up. You know, I was asking some of my friends around here, what the heck happened while I was gone? Did somebody napalm the place? And they said, no, it was just 100-degree heat plus with 30-mile-an-hour winds, and that'll sap it pretty quick. But getting dry down here in the southwest. But Oklahoma City, 5,700 head. Feeder cattle there, $2 to $4 lower, except some 6-weight steers, and they were $1 to $2 higher. Guys pushing on those. Your calves, $2 to $5 lower. Let's talk about some of those 6-weight steers. National Livestock Commission that shares information with Cattle Market Central here. They had some of those 6-weight steers that sold so awful good. I assume these were probably long-weaned calves. I wouldn't think they'd be any yearlings, true yearlings that light, but sure enough, long-weaned calves here, but in pretty good shape. On Nationals, round 75 head of them, weighed 632 pounds at 160.50. Joplin Regional Stockyards, lighter run for them, 3,700 head. Yearling feeders steady, and calves steady to $4 higher. J.W. Henson sold his fancy yearling steers on there. Had 120 of them. They weighed 890 pounds at 137.85. That's a good sale on a big slug of fancy steers right there. Ted Baum had a good sale up to Elgin, Nebraska. Elgin Livestock Sales, 6 loads of backgrounded steers. You see them all right there listed in Cattle Market Central there, all right around 900 pounds, weighing from 880 to 905, but 135 to 136.75, and I'm betting they was carrying a little bit of flesh there. But the top yearling sale that we saw on Monday, and you might be kind of surprised, but I told you guys we get into this late summer, they're going to have green yearlings out east when nobody else has them, and they're still good to feed this time of year just everywhere, even up in the northern plains. But Bluegrass Stockyard South in Stanford, Kentucky, 55 head of 834-pound steers, bring $142.95. That's your feeder flash for Tuesday.